Instagram is easily one of the most successful apps in history. It makes billions of dollars in ad revenue each month.
Total revenue for 2018 was $55.8 billion.
It's fundamentally changed the way many people behave.
Lavender fields like this have boomed recently. A big part of it is because of social media. People come from all over the world for this.
What's the number one thing you want to do in the lavender field today?
Take a photo.
Yes.
Of course, take a photo and post it on
Instagram.
So yeah, if I left today without an Insta, I would be upset.
It keeps billions of us hooked on our phones.
Instagram marking a new milestone, 2 billion active monthly users.
But it wasn't always this way. Instagram's founder, Kevin Systrom, didn't find immediate success. His original idea was a check-in app inspired by Foursquare called Bourbon.
Bourbon was a check-in app that let people, share their location, but also allowed you to post videos and photos.
You probably haven't heard of Bourbon because hardly anyone used it. Kevin Systrom was ready to abandon the app until he attended BJ Fogg's Stanford Persuasive Technology Lab.
BJ Fogg is a Stanford University professor. He's also the founder there of the Behavioral Lab.
That's Bas Wouters. He's an expert in the field of persuasion and behavior design.
I am author of the book Online Influence, and I'm also the co-founder and CEO of Cialdini Institute, where I partner with the godfather of influence, Dr. Robert Cialdini.
Bas has written extensively about the BJ Fogg model and its influence on Instagram.
One of the two founders was actually a student of him, and they previously built a similar app, but it worked differently. It wasn't a big success, and then BJ Fogg started helping and coaching them, and then it became, quite of a success, right? If you sell it within a year for $1 billion to that time Facebook.
Fogg taught Systrom his model for human behavior. This model enabled Systrom to redesign bourbon into a much more addictive product. The model that BJ Fogg taught is surprisingly simple.
BJ Fogg is known to be able to make very complicated behavioral science easy to explain. And his Fogg behavioral model shows there are 3 components that make behavior occur. And the first one we probably are all aware of. That's motivation. So if I ask you something, Phil, how much you want to do it.
Humans only take action if there is sufficient motivation. Bourbon was cluttered with features. Users could check in at a location, share a plan, upload photos, and earn points. Users weren't motivated to share their plans or their location. At the Stanford Persuasive Technology Lab, Systrom learned that humans are highly motivated by social approval. So he built features to let other users comment and like photos to build in that social approval. But motivation on its own usually isn't enough.
The second component, and that's for me the most interesting one actually, is ability. How easy it is to do what has been asked.
The original app, Bourbon, was cumbersome and overloaded with features. It was hard to use. Fogg taught Systrom to simplify the app around just photo sharing. They stripped away everything else and boosted the ability by adding easy-to-use photo filters. This increased motivation and ability, but there was also one more important thing to consider.
And then he draws an action line, and the third component is a prompt. And a prompt is something that asks for the behavior. BJ Fogg claims a human being doesn't do anything automatically. So he says, there's a glass that prompts you to drink water from it. Your alarm clock prompts you to wake up. But also thoughts are prompting us.
Systrom built prompts into the app. Notifications whenever a friend likes or comments on your photo. But the prompt that truly propelled Instagram to success was intrinsic. When users experienced something noteworthy in their life, they felt internally prompted to go and use the app. Go on holiday, or share it on Instagram. Enjoy a nice meal, post it on Instagram. See a cool sunset, add it to your Instagram feed. This intrinsic prompt, combined with high motivation and easy ability, made Instagram far more successful than its predecessor, Bourbon. But that's just Instagram. Every single day, other products, services, and apps use principles inspired by Fogg to prompt you to act. And Bas says there are 4 key principles they use to prompt you.
Curiosity, exceptional benefit, simple question, and unfinished journey.
These 4 principles prompt you to click, watch, buy, and even recycle. Let's start with curiosity. A public park in Stockholm had a problem with litter. Swedes weren't binning their trash, and the council had spent thousands on additional bin men. Bass says a curiosity-inspired prompt helped change behavior.
It was done in Sweden by Volkswagen Fun Theory project. What they studied was an average trash can, how many pounds of litter it collects. And that was 65 pounds. Now they made a trash can, the world's deepest trash can. And when you throw something in, it also had a sound like... It wasn't super deep, but they created that feeling. The fun thing is, it attracts curiosity. Wow, is this the world's deepest trash can? So people on purpose start throwing in more litter. Well, the outcome was, instead of 65 on average, this trash can collected 150 pounds of litter. So it's approximately 150% more. Not bad for one message on your trash can.
Adverts and public messages inspire curiosity in all sorts of ways.
And the fun thing about curiosity is, basically every message you can reframe in a curiosity way to make people more curious. And I have one example where we did a test, and it was for a blog site. And the header was, the way of working is changing drastically. Fine header, you would say. When we changed it to, this is what work will look like in the future, the amount of clicks increased with 180%. And maybe the listener's now thinking, but why that triggers my curiosity? Well, let me give them a tip. How can you reframe basically any message in a simple way to make people more curious? So you can use a how title, how to improve your design skills in one day. Or a surprising statistics, you only use 5% of your brain. A why title, why all people should learn behavioral psychology. The fourth one, use the word this at the beginning of your sentence, and that's exactly what we did. This is what work will look like in the future. And the last tip is list. It drives curiosity. 5 ways to stand out. 3 ways to right away increase your conversions. Well, these types of framing let people move forward. And that's what curiosity does. When we are curious, we move forward to satisfy that curiosity.
I wanted to test this myself. I wrote a newsletter about the decoy effect, and to test Bass's idea, I wrote 2 subject lines. My control said, a pointless change that boosts sales by 10%. My variant said, this pointless change boosted sales by 10%. The newsletter went to 2,764 people, with half receiving one of the 2 subject lines. And Bass's suggestion worked. It increased my open rate by 4.5%, a 4.5% improvement from changing just one word. Now let's look at the next tip.
An exceptional benefit is something that you normally cannot get anywhere else. So it could be a huge discount, and that's often what people think. This also has a little bit to do, of course, with scarcity. If something is exceptional, it's unique, or it's not common, it becomes scarce, and there's a lot of value to gain. So it works on both ends. Lots of value, and I cannot get it anywhere else. For example, let's think of an example. Well, Netflix. Netflix could say, you get a free trial. They also could say, watch unlimited blockbusters for free for an entire month. Now, it's the same thing they offer, but by the framing of it, it feels like a much more exceptional benefit.
The most persuasive exceptional benefit I've encountered is Beer 52.
Beer 52 is the UK's most popular craft beer club.
It's the most popular, but it's not widely loved. Search for Beer 52 on YouTube, and the top videos you'll see are Not Happy with Beer 52 and Beer 52 Rant. So how did this kind of widely disliked subscription service become so popular? Well, they offered every new customer an exceptional benefit.
Now, this is their free trial that I'm doing.
That's Beer Monster, the beer reviewer.
Where I believe you get 8 craft beers and 2 snacks. A free trial, although they say it's free, it is technically free, but you do have to pay for the postage, which is £6.95. So it's less than £1 a beer in it. Really, it's not bad.
A free case of beer is a pretty exceptional benefit. It has encouraged over 200,000 people to sign up. But the exceptional benefit comes with a catch.
After the free trial is over, It's £24 a month though, which seems quite a lot to me.
And cancelling is hard. You have to fill out an online form and call their customer service team to try and cancel. And yet this exceptional benefit has propelled Beer 52's growth. Despite the poor reviews, it's the largest company of its kind with $50 million in yearly revenue. But it's not the only prompt that works.
So the simple question technique. Every child in every culture all around the world is taught a certain thing. If an adult asks you a question, what do you need to do as a child? You need to answer that question. So ask something simple, and simple question wants people to answer that question. It's also a presentation technique. If you're a keynote speaker and people are a little bit talking to each other, you just throw a question in that area and they are suddenly paying attention.
Simple questions work well online as well.
What my co-author Joris did, and he won the first CRO award with this case in the Netherlands, was for Bol.com. And Bol.com is basically the Dutch Amazon. They do, I think, approximately $8 billion in revenue here. And like any other web shop, they wanted to collect reviews for their product. So in one case, it was you bought something, you get an automated mail. Do you want to leave a review? Button, write review. Then they changed that email and they started with a simple question. And the question was, how did you like it? And then they gave 3 answers. Better than expected, as expected, not as expected. And this is an important element in the simple question. If you ask a simple question, make it also simple to answer. Anyhow, they changed it, and then something interesting happened. There were 200% more clicks to the actual survey of the review. So in the end, they collected 400% more reviews, because also more people finished the survey.
Asking a simple question, how did you find ordering with Bol, increased clicks on their surveys by 200%. But what about the last prompt?
Zeigarnik was a Russian scientist, and she proved that we don't like unfinished things.
While sitting in a cafe in Vienna, Zeigarnik noticed that waiters remembered complex orders very accurately, but forgot them as soon as the orders were completed. Intrigued, she ran studies. She gave participants a series of simple tasks, such as solving puzzles. For some of the tasks, she allowed the participants to finish. For others, she deliberately interrupted them before they could complete the task. Later, she tested the participants' memories of the task. The results showed that people were twice as likely to remember the interrupted tasks compared to the completed ones. You're twice as likely to remember intricate details of that puzzle if you haven't completed it. Lots of companies use this to prompt you.
For example, Airbnb. If you book something, you had your holiday, so you think, well, it's finished. They prompt you in a way, well, one last thing to complete your holiday, write something about the house or about your host. And they prompt you with the Zeigarnik effect, and they use curiosity often, because if the host writes a review first, then they also prompt you, find out what the host said about you.
Curiosity, exceptional benefits, simple questions, and an unfinished journeys are principles used by hundreds of companies to get your attention. Some have used it to create billion-dollar apps, others use it to stop littering. I just hope you will use these principles for good.